Hello and welcome to the Powerful Personal Brand Podcast. I am your host, Claire Bahn, and on today's episode, I am very excited to be joined by Jacques Spitzer. Jacques is a 4-time Emmy Award-winning creative entrepreneur and the CEO and founder of Raindrop Agency, the team behind viral campaigns for brands including Dr. Squatch, Manscaped, Native, Spruce, and Laundry Sauce. His agency work has generated more than 1 billion video views and over 1 billion in sales. Wow. Turning storytelling into serious business impact. He's also the host of the podcast Marketing People Love, where he explores what makes great marketing move people to action. Jacques, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here today.
Cannot wait to jump in and talk about building personal brands.
I know. It's so funny. I feel like as marketing people, we like geek out over this stuff. So get ready. No.
I mean, it's true. You know what? The thing about I'm in the brand building world, and there's no more valuable brand that you can invest in than your own.
I love that. That's dropping great.
All right. So the episode's over. No, just kidding.
Done. We're done. All right. Well, so you have a framework and you call it the Green Lamborghini Effect. One, tell me more about that and how can it be applied to build a strong personal brand?
Yes. So the Green Lamborghini Effect is there's a reality here that a lot of times we feel like, especially with like, I'll give it like a personal branding, lean, which is if someone were to say, what makes you interesting? What makes you stand out? What makes people notice you? A lot of people may not have an answer for that. And I think that can be tough because just doing great work and just being good at something isn't enough to necessarily drive whatever outcome you want. All right. And so the Green Lamborghini Effect is simply the reality that if you were driving down the freeway and like I came into the studio here to record this podcast and I was on the road for about 25 minutes. If I were to think to myself, how many cars did I notice on the way to the studio? I tell you none. I like legitimately cannot remember a single car I saw. I take that back. There was a guy in a blue truck that almost ran a red light that almost killed me. But usually you're like, I don't know. Because if you pay attention, you look around at the road, almost every car is white, gray, black, red, or some shade of blue. And you realize that if a green Lamborghini were to roll up next to you, it would immediately pique your attention. You would notice it. Even for that brief moment in time. For me, what goes through my mind usually, actually, I was in back of it wasn't green, but it was a Lamborghini the other day. And I was thinking, one, I wonder what that person does for work that, they decided they could have enough revenue to buy a Lamborghini. Two, if I were to rear end this Lamborghini, I wonder how the insurance works on that because I don't want to find out, but it makes me a little nervous.
Right.
And, then my mind, like my son made a comment about it. My mind goes on to other things. But if I were then a day or two later, someone was like, "Hey, I was in San Diego yesterday, and I saw a green Lamborghini. Did you see that green Lamborghini?" I'd be like, "You know what? I did." And I was thinking, man, that's really fascinating that you ignore most things. And as I've gotten later in my career, I realized that the phenomena for this is called the reticular activating system. It's a way that your mind is designed to forget 99.9% of information around you. Like if you walked down the street and remembered the color of every house and whether or not it had a white picket fence or not, and whether their grass was living or not, and your mind retained those details, you would go crazy. So your mind is like actively trying to ignore almost everything. And so I think that when it comes to building anything, but especially a personal brand, if you aren't getting noticed, you can't do anything else. Like that is step one. I need to get attention before I can earn any trust.
But then we see people that I actually had someone come to do coaching with me. Don't do coaching anymore. But when she did, she basically was on this TikTok I don't even know, hamster wheel, where she was just copying makeup videos that or she made herself into look like something else, where like Halloween type of stuff, or something that was just like really scary or cool, or a different
Mhm.
actor or whatever. And she was like, I don't want to do that. She's like, I personally do wedding makeup, and I would like the business to generate business for me for my wedding business. But when she
Yeah.
started to do regular makeup, they were like, I don't care, I want you to do this like outrageous stuff. So sometimes you could be going after this green Lamborghini effect. So where is the balance?
Man, what a great question. I always laugh because I think about this from the standpoint of the example you just gave me was the way I explain it is like no one cares about the cherry pie recipe from a real estate agent, meaning okay, great. I'm trying to like get in front of you and offer value and me a reason to be in front of you, but like that doesn't make me trust you more to do the end thing that you're trying to do. And so I think,
Hmm.
not all attention is equal. And I would also add that I think the core thing to figure out with something like that, like let's say you have a bridal makeup, business, the content should be around doing that. It's like a
Yeah.
better idea, right? A better idea would be, hey, let's show up to the courthouse where people are doing like same day weddings and
Mm.
let's like give them an on the spot makeover, zhuzh them up, do the thing, do an impromptu photo shoot,
Yeah.
and do like two of those a month and capture all the content from that. Well, now we're cooking, and people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, how cool is it that like people that don't have $5,000, $3,000 to book a wedding, me for a wedding, you're going out there and you're adding value to something that's entertaining, but actually has to do with the end goal of who you're trying to reach, not
Right.
the cherry pie recipe, right?"
Well,
Um,
so then comes the problem of, okay, I chase the green Lamborghini, and now everyone expects me to drive the green Lamborghini, and if I don't, and I'm like, no, I actually rented it, I drive a Honda.
right.
Like, they're like, I'm so disappointed. So it's
And
like,
so and so in this
yeah,
in
like
this
how do you
analogy,
deal with that? Do you
well,
just say, fine, I'm just gonna keep faking it till I can buy the green Lamborghini, or do I say, you know what, audience, I this is the real me.
um, yeah, I think mm, let me reverse this out and say, you know, the concept of the green Lamborghini, I know we keep using this analogy,
I know.
is the fact that without attention, you can't build trust. You can't like it
Right.
is a starting place. But I think most people think to themselves the most important thing is how good I am at this thing, and so they start talking about this is how fast I can go from 0 to 60, and like they get into these functional things that they're really good at, and it's just
Hmm.
like, well, yeah, that's just not going to break through. So
Right.
I would go back to that. To me, what that functionally means is yes, like thinking about if you're going to create content, how do you do it through the lens of something that's still authentic to you, but is also interesting to the audience,
Hmm.
and the problem that you gave me around the wedding person doing the makeup that was like for over the top for holidays is that even though they seem related because it's makeup, it's not because the biggest thing people want to know is that I'm going to look like the best version of myself on my wedding day.
Hmm.
They don't want to look like somebody else. They don't want to look
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? And so it's a
You have
really
to
you
ultimately be doing so. I mean, basically, this person was basically going out and getting the wrong audience. It wasn't the
Yeah,
audience that she should have had.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's why like doing someone's makeup, that's why when I get the example of doing someone's makeup that may not have been able to let's say afford it or whatever, it
Right.
immediately makes it more fun and more interesting. And then you do the impromptu photo shoot. I mean, the number of people that get married at the courthouse that don't have photos from their wedding day is criminal. It's like
Hmm.
even that little piece, you then you could find someone um, to partner with on creating the
Right.
content, and everything else. But
And then you're
I would
basically Mr. Beast.
Yeah, well, but I mean, you got to think. It's like
Yeah,
we all
doing
got to
something
think
for
like
people.
Mr.
Yeah.
Beast. I mean,
Yeah. No. You started
we
somewhere.
actually, yeah, and well, I'll say we worked with Mr. Beast about a little over a
Okay.
year ago, and he tracked us down through his team tracked us down because they noticed that that's the way that we think and approach things, and was like, hey, I think you guys might be able to help us with some of our projects. And so I think that's an interesting way of thinking about it. Is you know, doing things that are authentic to yourself are incredibly important, but I would say even more important is, what is the end goal of the attention you're trying to get? And
Yeah.
it's not, to your point, it's not I think what the problem is most you can't just show, hey, I'm Jacques, I'm a makeup artist, you know, look at this really beautiful outcome I had. It's just not interesting enough. There's no story
Right.
to it. There's
Unless
no
unless like
transformation.
you want to like do people's makeup for Halloween. That's
Right,
such a
right, right,
short
right,
amount of
right, right,
time.
right, right, right.
Well, so you brought something up about the green Lamborghini, and so it totally not related, but I want to mention it. So I saw something. It was like some, I don't know, Instagram thing that came up in my feed, and basically it was like in the 80s and the 90s, the world was colorful.
Hmm.
Like people wore colorful
Yeah,
clothes. The
yeah.
cars were more colorful. And
Hmm.
now, I mean, I drive a gray car. I do like a lot of gray. Anyone that knows me knows I love gray. So
Yeah.
I'm totally on brand. But at the same time, it did in college. I did have a burgundy car. But anyway, yeah, no one has. It's just when you go to the lot, they're all the same color. Where
Yes.
did the color
Yes.
go?
Totally. Well, and it's interesting. I would add that, and I think this is where, and I keep harping on this. Like the green Lamborghini is a mindset. It's not to be
Yeah.
taken literal. Meaning, you're right that color can play a role in that, but so can, like, some of the top creators. There's a guy that blew up online, and his whole thing was just looking off to the side and doing in a monotone voice his thoughts, right? And it was like
Mm,
it was different, and it was ownable, and it was him. And just by doing something different, it was sort of like attention grabbing enough that people
yeah.
stopped and actually listened to what he had to say. I would say a lot of people have a lot of great things to communicate, but no one stops to listen because they're just on to the next thing.
Like when you are looking at when you're doing a creating a reel or doing something, there's a lot of people they just do this, they stand in front of the camera, and that's it. So it can be
You
kind
nailed
of
it.
boring. They're not doing anything to like catch your attention. The fact that he's looking away, you're like, why?
Hmm.
That's probably what hooked people. You're like, why are you
Yep.
looking away? What are you looking at? Tell
Yep.
me.
The technical term for it is a pattern interrupt. It's like
Yeah.
you're going through your feed and you're like, person talking to the camera, person talking to the camera, this person's not looking at the camera. What's going on there? Like,
Hmm.
it's just different. And that's the green Lamborghini.
Yeah.
It's something that's intentionally different. It could even be a hat you wear. You can have a hat on
Yeah.
it, like, that says like money matters, or like,
Hmm.
or just the, I'm making this up, but like just the money tongue emoji on like a hat. And it's like all of a sudden it's a
What?
little
Yeah.
weird, a little interesting. Like, let's say
Yeah.
you're into like personal finance for startups. Well, just that hat could be enough to like stop people from moving on.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like you got to think in that way to get people moving.
But the thing though is that if it's your gimmick, you can probably keep replicating it. But I feel like a lot of times, especially see this with like fashion people, people that are kind of doing the fashion thing, they do that, I'm getting dressed. They all do the same thing. Here are my
Yep.
jeans coming on, you like on all those cuts. And it's cool after a while, but again, after a point, it's just like person looking, talking to me on the camera, person putting on clothes, I'm
Yep.
bored. Yeah. And so it's that pattern interrupt, but so then you expect it from that person, and then you find somebody else that does the same thing, and you're like, you're kind of just copying that guy. You have to find your own, your own pattern interrupt, whatever feels kind of authentic to you, but it has to be yours. Otherwise, it's just, I mean, I so many things on Instagram start to look the same,
Yeah.
and especially.
So, and I think what you're describing is an interesting phenomena with all things culture. And so it is an important thing to think about. It can feel, I mean, I'll be honest, it can feel daunting when you realize this to be true, but it is the game where, if you find something that works, it'll work, and then other people start copying it, and it'll become the new
Hmm.
thing, and then you got to discover the next thing. And I think we see
Yeah.
this with music a lot. I think it's why you
Mm.
see people's music styles and their careers. Like, I mean, honestly, I can rattle them off, but who comes to
Yeah.
mind are people like Taylor Swift and Justin Timberlake, where maybe they started super poppy and then they got it,
Yeah.
because this whole
Or
thing is
country.
like country. It's like it's a constantly evolving place that like you have to skate to where your next puck is. And certain things are more ownable than others, but I would say this message would be for someone that's a little bit more, maybe they're reaching a point where they
Established.
feel like they're established and and maybe they feel like everything is kind of the same. And it's like
Mhm.
the best news is, if it's starting to feel the same, is that you can start experimenting with new, and that new thing that you can experiment with could be your next breakthrough. But
Right.
as soon as you have any success, as soon as you have a video that pops off, I mean, I've had a couple now that even my personal brand have popped off. You know, it immediately is, people see it and they see the success of
Mhm.
it and they want to copy it, and then before you know it, everyone's doing the same thing. And
Yeah.
you could start the trend and then become old news within 3 months, right?
You're like, "Hey, I
So
started that."
yeah, I mean, look, everyone. I mean, no one's gonna be mad about starting a trend. I guess I'm chasing it out to the extremity to say that's just part of the game. That
Yeah.
everything will start to feel the same, even if you start it. And I think that that's an interesting thought.
Well, so okay, so now so being the same. Speaking of being the same, AI. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically just seeing what's been done and
Yep.
giving, saying, "Hey, you, if you so say someone decides, you know what, I'm going to build a personal brand. I'm not going to hire a specialist. I don't need to. I can just do chat GPT." What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, um, I think the way that I would put this is, I think that specifically, like, let's say a coach, right?
Yeah.
I would ask myself, well, what's the most important thing a coach can provide? Um, and my I guess the three things that I would say would be, I think that a coach can provide accountability. And I
Mm.
think in and of itself, you are not accountable to ChatGPT. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of times, a lot of this is not a building a personal brand is very rarely about knowing what to do. It's about actually being consistent and getting it done. I mean, I'm always very aware that the only thing stopping me from having a six pack and being shredded is the like desire and need to like eat super clean and work out twice a day. Like if I did
Yeah.
that, it
If
would
your
work.
job
Right,
required it,
right.
you would do it.
Totally. Even if it didn't,
Yeah.
even if that's just like was a priority, I could
Yeah.
do it. And I think that when I think about personal brand building, I honestly think about it very similar, in a similar way, that like
Mhm.
that's why you have the Gary V's and everyone out there that's like, yeah,
Yeah.
if you post 100 pieces of content today, you're a day, you're going to eventually be famous. It's like, well, you're not wrong. It's just such an absurd thing to say. That's like saying, well, if
Yeah.
you work out 4 times a day and
Right.
eat nothing but protein
If you
shakes, you'll be
create a
ripped.
viral video.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, coach. So number one is, to me, it's accountability.
Yeah.
Two is, I think that people with wisdom can tell you not. So it's like there are the things that you know. There's the things you don't know. And then there's the things you don't even know that you don't know. And so
Mhm.
like when I'm like, I have a coach, I have an advisor and a coach that, we work with. I do this for other people too. And it's like that last bucket of like, I don't even know what I don't know. That's
Right.
not going to come from ChatGPT, because you're not even going to know what to input. Like,
Right.
you're not even thinking about whatever that might look like. And so I think that that's you're certainly paying for that experience and that wisdom. And then there's a third part of this, which is just like the strategy, which I think is the most, like, that's the thing that like a chat GPT could get you to 80% on.
Mhm.
Like it's not going to get you 100%, but it's certainly better than nothing. It's certainly better
Right.
than the opinions of your friends that don't know anything, but it's not, you know, I think nothing would be better than having ChatGPT plus an expert like a Claire, right? Utilizing that tool to then get you truly tailored and unique results.
Right.
But that's what
'Cause
goes through
that's
my
the thing
mind.
about
Yeah.
but that's the thing about AI, it's not unique
Mm-mm.
because it
No.
can't it's
No.
finding information that's already been done. So again, you
Yep.
are kind of chasing whatever has been popular. You're not front and center. You're not the industry leader because you're doing this. And so I guess like is it better just to not do anything? Or if you can only do one post a week, do that. If you, that's all that you can commit, or should you just be like, I'm going to do 5 posts. I'm going to do 100 posts a day because that's what Gary Vee says. And it's all AI generated. I mean, I know how I feel, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's a bit of a quantity versus quality question.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there, right? My reaction to it is doing something is always better than doing nothing.
Right.
I would say I can't say always. I mean, I guess if you're out there doing some of the stuff that Kanye West does, then maybe not. But like for most
Shut up.
people, yeah, for most people, doing
Right.
something's better than doing nothing. But then I do think there's a point where there's a reason people will throw out the words like AI slop and other things. It's like there's a point where
AI
you're put
slop. I've never heard that.
yeah,
Kind of
so
like
there's a
it.
point where you're putting out content that's not actually delivering value to anybody,
Yeah.
and it's just putting out content for the sake of content. That's not building trust. That's not interesting, important. And so I think I mean, look, the way I truly feel about it is building a personal brand. There are a lot of fun tools out there. There's never been a better time to try to do it.
Hmm.
However, I feel like when people ask these questions, it's the exact same question that they're asking with like, they're looking at a bodybuilder and they're like, okay, so like, but like, what if I worked out twice a week?
Well, yeah. Will you give me
And then,
permission?
and it's
Will
like,
you tell me it'll
or
work?
like, what if I use GLP-1s and work out twice a week? And you're like,
Mm,
okay, yeah, like both of those things would be better than doing nothing, but nothing is going to get you to look like that except for the work
yeah.
it takes to do that. Right.
Right.
And so I think that that's the problem is a lot of people are comparing themselves to the people who are doing the work. And in some cases doing the work where it's like, man, they've been at it for years and years and years. And then
Yes.
finally something hits, something pops off. I mean, you see that over and over again. And so
Yeah. I mean, you have to
that's my
look
thought.
at the first video that Mr. Beast did. The first video that Gary Vee did when he
Totally.
was doing his
Totally.
wine store, like
Totally.
totally different. He may have showered a little more.
Yeah.
He always
Yeah.
looks a little unkept. I always
Yeah.
joke about
Yeah.
that. But like, yeah, you can't compare yourself. And I think that that's unfortunately what people do. They always want the magic secret. And I like that the analogy you gave about working out in the GLP-1s, because yeah, it's like people are giving you this. They're like, but I'll get there, right? And you're like, well,
Yep.
I mean, so someone could hire someone to do it, right? And then it's them kind of, but someone else can kind of get them further. Or you could say, okay, I can't afford that, but I can put in the work, like you
Mhm.
were saying, and that will get me forward better than if I just, try to do something, try to find some magic thing and just do
Yep.
it. Get
Yep.
off your butt, do it, be yourself, because that's going to be the best thing. And, don't quit your day job until whatever it is, like, kicks off. Like, it's just, yeah. And do what you know. I feel like people, or if you're learning something, show your process of learning it versus
Mhm.
just like, I'm going to be this. I'm going to be a marketing expert because chat's going to tell me how to. Your stories
Right.
won't match.
No. No.
The
Yeah, you're doing
stories are
that
the
thing.
most important thing.
You're doing that thing that the makeup artist doing Halloween makeup is
Yes.
doing, you know. Um
Yes.
and
I'm
look,
I'm
it's tough.
chasing the viral video. Yeah.
I will tell you, here's what I would say too for like so for myself. I am very active on all the channels personally. For myself, for my company, and this is one of the things that I'm just going to share is hard is like
Mhm.
I have been really consistent with putting out content. I've tried high produced content, low fidelity content, day in a life videos, all the things. I've had two videos that have done like 2 to 4 million views, right? Or
Wow.
maybe two or three videos have like 2 or 4 million views. All of those videos have nothing to do with anything that I care to talk about. Like
Really?
yeah, like
They're just random.
the one video was me explaining why this mug that I got from a farmer's market, like how I ended up buying 4 instead of 1 and all this stuff. Another one was a friend of mine sent me his, he had like a new beverage company called Toucan, and I'm doing this whole demonstration with it. It went viral on TikTok and Instagram. And my point being, like, these are things that are just generally good stories, interesting to watch, but they have nothing to do with what it is that we do. However, every once in a while, one of my videos will get 1,000 to 6,000 views, right? And I would say one of those videos where I'm actually talking about something of substance, whatever. It's like I don't in the world that I'm in and we're in, like, we don't need. I'm not trying. It doesn't. I'm not trying to become someone that has millions of followers. I care about it getting in front of the right VP or the right CMO or the right whoever. And so I always go like, man, yeah, when I see 600 to 1,000 views on something, I never get discouraged because of the
Mhm.
number of times I've run into somebody that, works for a company that does $1 billion in revenue. And they're like, oh my gosh, you are all over my feed. I see you all the
Wow.
time. Right. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Like, you're one of the 600 people that saw that video. In fact, I have become like, um, I don't want to say friends, but like I've gone back and forth with Tyra Banks because she saw some of my content and she was like, "You're great," and then just started commenting on my stuff. And like now, like, we talk from time to time. I'm like, you never know like who your
Yeah.
content could connect with. So to me, the question is, like, I always say that like one post could change your life, and it's so true because you just never know who that is going to end up in front of. And so I'm like, I've put it all out there. I've done a lot of different things, and I've now realized that, like, it's more important to be consistent than it is to be like hitting some mega nerve.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think that what you said before, I feel like sometimes people will say, "Well, I want a ton of followers. I should have a ton of followers." One, a lot of the algorithms are not doing that anymore. They're
right,
favoring views versus getting followers. But also, if you what your niche is it realistic for you to have 1 million followers?
totally.
And just like kind of what you said, I mean, when you had those videos that had millions of views, did that get you a ton of followers?
No, not really. I mean, that's the thing,
Yeah,
right?
because it's the
Um,
wrong
because
niche.
it's the wrong thing. Like, I was thinking, like, man, if my handle was Cocktail King, maybe, but I'm not like,
Yeah,
I'm not even that interested in the cocktail thing.
yeah.
um yeah, so anyway, it makes me laugh, but
Did you
the
ever
good
I
news
mean,
is it was good for their business.
right. Well, so
Yeah.
so you had these videos that did well. Did you ever kind of implement stuff from those into like, anything for your business or the clients that you work with or anything? Because you're just like, okay, I learned this. It doesn't work for me, but it could work for you.
So yes, the answer is yes. In fact, one of our best performing ads right now is a hook that came from that video.
Oh,
um
wow.
yeah, so
So it could be, it's at least a learning experience, if
yeah, I
if nothing
mean, it
else.
is because I think for me, what was interesting about the cocktail one was Toucan Cocktails. If you're like out there and you're listening to this deep into the podcast, if you look me up, Jacques Spitzer, on Instagram or on TikTok, you'll find it because it's like the only video that has that many views on it. It's just me. I got a blue hat on. So if you're going through um like my feed,
Thumbnails.
but but yeah, it was really interesting because I posted it originally on Instagram and it did like 2 to 3 million views, and then I was dying to see what happens when I put it on TikTok. Like, how much how g is it that there's something, you know what I mean? Because like that it didn't post them at the same time. So I'm like, what happens when I put it
Yeah.
to TikTok? Is the video that good that like it'll just also do the same thing on TikTok? Or was there something about the way that Instagram interacted
Mhm.
that algorithm sunk its teeth into and it made it go, right? So then about 3 days later, 2, 3 days later, I posted a TikTok and it does 4 million views, does more
Hmm.
views. And I was like, okay, well, clearly there's something about this video that the algorithm loves and that people like, but that the algorithm also loves. There's something going on here. And that's the only time I've ever seen anything like with my own, because usually I post my own content both places at the same time, and then it'll do varying levels of differences. But that was interesting. It was like one of those. It was almost like a science experiment, sitting on that
Yeah.
piece.
That was, and then you find out there is something about it. Then you need to dig into, okay, what it is. What is it? That's
Yeah,
really interesting.
yeah.
I feel like we could talk about this for, keep going, but we need to wrap up. This has been such a fun conversation. I really appreciate you being on here to talk. Where can someone find out more about you?
Oh man. Well, since I've been actively building a personal brand, you can go to JacquesSpitzer.com, my own personal brand website. You could go to my LinkedIn. You can hit me up on X. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram.
Everywhere.
I'm like, is there anywhere I'm not? I don't know. You can find my books on Amazon. You can find my podcasts.
Awesome.
Um,
Well, make sure that all of that is in
uh,
the description box as well.
it sounds absurd when I say it out loud. That being said, it's been a 6-year journey, right? And so I didn't
Yeah.
try to do all those things at once. Originally, it was just like, let's just do one thing.
Right.
So yeah,
That's the key takeaway here is take your time.
yeah.
It compounds, and you learn things. And if you don't take time, I keep seeing people, like, sometimes they're going after this magic and they're like, 3 months doesn't work, move. And you're like, you don't know it doesn't work. You haven't done it long enough.
Mm,
And you keep bouncing and you're like, nothing's working. And so then 2 years of bouncing, I go, it's just because you keep changing
you
your
nailed
mind.
it. You nailed it. I think of that.
Yeah.
There's that graphic I've seen it online of like someone who's been pickaxing their way and the diamonds are right on the other side. So got to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jacques. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thanks, Claire.
And thank you for listening and watching. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.